Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Stratman, and I'm an analytics consultant for Dunn Solutions Group. I am online from our Minneapolis, Minnesota location. In today's presentation, we will be talking about how your organization can begin moving to the cloud by building a hybrid data warehouse with Informatica's intelligent cloud services. In our webinar today, I'm first going to introduce you to Dunn Solutions Group and who we are as a company. Then we will have a discussion on data warehouses and how moving to the cloud may be the answer to your organization's data warehouses challenges. Next, I will tell you how moving to the cloud and managing your hybrid data warehouse can be straightforward with Informatica's intelligent cloud services, what Informatica is calling the next generation iPaaS, or integration platform as a service. Afterwards, I will provide a quick demonstration on the Informatica Cloud Services data integration tool and show how straightforward moving data between on-premise and the cloud can be. At the end of the presentation, we will respond to as many questions as we can. Those questions we cannot get to will be addressed and sent to all attendees via email. Please use the chat window in the GoToWebinar to submit any questions. All right, let's get started. Dunn Solutions is a digital transformation consultancy, and our mission is to bring velocity to our customers. Velocity is made up of two components, speed and direction. After all, if you want to move fast, you want to move fast in the right direction. And our goal is to bring your organization speed through automation and direction through analytics. Dunn Solutions currently has offices in the US and India. Our corporate office is in Chicago, with remote offices in Minneapolis and Bangalore. We have been delivering innovative business technology to companies for 30 years since our inception in 1988. We believe almost every organization should strive for velocity because velocity enables the velocity virtuous cycle. The velocity virtuous cycle is a feedback loop that uses the vast amounts of data created through process automation to provide insight through analytics. Those insights with automation are then fed back into the business process for improvement and optimization. And with the use of Dunn Solutions' advanced predictive and prescriptive analytic capabilities, this feedback loop will accelerate the speed and dial in the direction as the market conditions or business climate changes. A key part of velocity is to provide business insight from data to your business users. The webinar today will show you how to make sure your business users are getting the data they need to make these insights. All right, now before we get into what is Informatica Intelligent Cloud Services, it's important we provide some background on why your organization would want Informatica. This leads us to our first discussion, the enterprise data warehouse. Data warehouses have been and are still today the staple of data landscapes for data-driven organizations. They integrate data that is focused on measuring business processes across many different types of source systems. And this data stored in these data warehouses are the driving factors behind many impactful business decisions that happen every day. Quite frankly, the data warehouse is the one source of truth for many organizations. In order for a data warehouse to be functioning and effective, it should aim to satisfy the following goals. Make your organization's data easy to access. This way, all the data your business needs is located in one convenient place. Make sure your data is consistent, because if your data is inconsistent, it will become unreliable, and this defeats the purpose of a data warehouse. One always wants their data or information to be trusted and secure. And these first 3 points are all very important because your data warehouse is the foundation or the backbone behind making informed decisions for your organization. And lastly, your data warehouse needs to be adaptive and resilient to change. The diagram you see on your screen is a diagram of the architecture of your typical on-premise data warehouse. We have our traditional sources on the left, and then we use some ETL tool, like an Informatica Power Center, to extract data from these sources into a staging area, where we can then transform the data and load it into our data marts. And once the data is in a data mart, now we can connect to different presentation tools to our data mart so we can present our data in a meaningful way. Now, data warehouses are great and all, but with everything that is great also comes challenges. And with your traditional on-premise enterprise data warehouse, you are likely confronted with the same challenges. And these challenges are that your on-premise data warehouse is not able to easily scale up with an increase in demand for analytics, and thus your data warehouse will likely see a decrease in performance when this occurs. The demand for data is always increasing, and because of this, storage requirements always exceed expectations. Your organization requires constant time and energy to maintain the infrastructure. This means less time on analysis and innovation. If a disaster situation were to arrive that knocked out your data warehouse, you are the ones responsible for bringing your data warehouse back up to speed and operational. And finally, an on-premise data warehouse can be very expensive for an organization with costs to run, cool, and update hardware for the data warehouse. Well, how do the organizations deal with these challenges for on-premise data warehouses? Organizations have to optimize table indexing and ETL processes in order to counter decreases in performance. Your organization has to upgrade hardware by increasing memory and storage. And when it comes to increasing hardware, you have to make sure it's within your purchase license agreement, as well as needing time to install and test everything to make sure everything runs properly. And most importantly, your organization has to dedicate the resources to make sure your warehouse infrastructure is maintained and can be reliable in the case of a disaster. This is important because this means these resources are making sure your warehouse is up and running and are not discovering new insights that can push your organization to the next level. Well, yes, that is how you combat all these common challenges that you typically face with an on-premise enterprise data warehouse. Well, what if I told you one way we can eliminate these challenges altogether is by moving our data warehouse to the cloud? By implementing a cloud-based or hybrid data warehouse, we can satisfy the goals of a traditional on-premise data warehouse while resolving the challenges we discussed on the previous slide. Hybrid data warehouses are designed to be able to scale storage and processing power on demand to fit your business needs. And because your warehouse is in the cloud, there is zero infrastructure maintenance to worry about, as that is your cloud data warehouse's provider's responsibility. These providers understand how important the data warehouse is to business, and because of that, there are built-in disaster recovery situations, so your data is always available to you. And the best part, there is a low cost of entry to beginning constructing your hybrid data warehouse. All right, I'm sure you're all asking, that's nice, or saying that's nice and all, but exactly how does a hybrid data warehouse work compared to your traditional on-premise data warehouse? Well, I'm here to tell you that's actually pretty simple. The hybrid data warehouse works the same way as your on-premise data warehouse. Looking at the architecture of this hybrid data warehouse, we can see the architecture is the same as before, but instead the data warehouse section is located in the cloud. We have our same traditional on-premise sources as well as new cloud sources on the left. And using Informatica Intelligent Cloud Services, we can extract from these sources to our staging area. And from the staging area, we can load our transformed data into our data mart, which either on-premise or cloud-based presentation tools then can present data the same way as we did with our on-premise data warehouse. Now, you may be thinking I am just oversimplifying hybrid data warehouse, and actually constructing a hybrid data warehouse is a cumbersome task. Well, this is where Informatica Intelligent Cloud Services comes in. Informatica Intelligent Cloud Services is Informatica's new integration platform as a service, or iPaaS. Informatica Intelligent Cloud Services is the leading cloud management and data integration solution that makes migrating to the cloud and maintaining your data straightforward. They offer a multitude of products like the ones you see in the middle here, such as the data integration and cloud data management, where the product provides the different services you see listed in the dark gray boxes. These services include Customer 360, Product 360, and Enterprise Data Lake, and etc. Informatica's Intelligent Cloud Services is a next generation iPaaS. because it uses what they call the CLAIRE engine. The CLAIRE engine is the industry's first metadata-driven AI that powers data-driven disruptive innovation, or disruption. With disruption, businesses can not only satisfy business needs, but anticipate future needs so they are able to stay ahead of the curve, so to speak. The best part of intelligent cloud services is Informatica provides organizations the options just to start with one product and grow from there. So it's not a huge commitment for your organization. Now, I could go on and talk about the entire Informatica Intelligent Cloud Services platform all afternoon. But for today's webinar, our focus is on the data integration tool. This tool is part of Informatica Intelligent Cloud Services and is the ETL tool that allows you to migrate your data from your source systems to your data warehouse. This ETL tool is unique as it allows organizations to integrate their data in 4 different ways: cloud to cloud, on-premise to on-premise, on-premise to cloud, and cloud to on-premise. Informatica has also made it easier than ever to migrate your data. If you are performing complex ETL jobs, you still have your traditional mappings like you would see in an Informatica Power Center, but they also provide straightforward migration wizards for easy copy or lift and shift jobs. And I'll be showing off both of these methods very shortly. So, time to get into the demo portion of today's webinar. And I'll show you, here we have the Informatica Cloud data integration tool. And this is the home screen of the tool. We kind of have a nice overview of everything. So on the left here is your overview section where it shows how many runtime environments we have, connections set up, and the amount of assets we've built for our organization. In the middle, we have the different runtime environments we've set up. On the right over here, we have just kind of a chart showing the history of the jobs that we performed and whether they were successful or failures or had any warnings with those. And then over here, we can see how many projects that have been built that are actually valid and can be used today. And then as well as some of the recent assets that have been built or ran recently. So for today's webinar, I want to show you 2 separate ways of migrating data from your on-premise SQL server to a cloud-based data warehouse. And for today's webinar, I'm going to be using Snowflake, which is an example of a cloud-based data warehouse tool. And then I'm also going to be showing how to migrate data from cloud to cloud using Salesforce, which is a cloud-based CRM tool. So looking at here's Snowflake, our cloud-based data warehouse, and looking at a fact table of our internet sales. We'll run this here quick. We can see, oh no, the last entry is from 2013. We're quite behind. We need to make sure that we have more up-to-date data in our fact table. So if we go to Informatica Cloud, the first thing we need to do is setting up a connection between our source and our target. Here is the Connections tab. And then in order to create a connection, we can just click this New Connection button, let everything load up here. We can give it a name. We'll just say Demo Connection. And then we can just click the Type drop-down, and now we have all the different types of connections and connectors that we have. So for the demo, we can select SQL Server, and then we just have to fill in this information with the red asterisk. And that's all that there is required in order to set up connections. It's very easy to use. In order to save time for today's webinar, I already have connections set up. You can see I have a SQL Server 2014 connection set up to an AdventureWorks database. I have a connector to my Snowflake Cloud Data Warehouse, as well as setting up to my Salesforce, another cloud tool. So now we need to update our data in our Snowflake data warehouse. So I will look at this mapping here, which as you can see is kind of similar to your traditional Power Center mappings, where we have our tasks and then all we got to do is drag it onto our canvas. And for this mapping, you can see I have my source, which is our SQL Server database. I have a little filter task, an expression task, and if I were to go here just name an expression, look at the expression tab. I created a field called total profit, and then I just set the expression as the sales amount minus the total product cost. And then all I gotta do is drag and drop this little arrow there to my target, and then make sure everything is valid. As you can see up here, this is a valid mapping, so everything should work as expected. And then once we have everything the way we want it, we can just select run here. This window pops up. Since we are extracting from an on-premise SQL server, we need to use this on-premise runtime environment. And then we're all good to go. Select run. Wait for this to execute, and then we see a little dialog box pop open. We can select my jobs. And then we can see that this job then is now queued. We can refresh it. And now we can see that the job is running, and it shouldn't take too much longer. And there should be we should be able to see the rows being processed then once the connections are established and the data starts flowing. And seems to be taking a little bit longer than normal. Of course, because it is a demo, it has to have its issues. There we go. We see that some of the rows are beginning to be processed. And just a little bit longer. This is taking, yep, there we go. So that did take a little bit longer than normal. I ran this job earlier. It only took less than a minute. But we can see here that we had about 2,000 rows that were successfully processed. We can actually click into this job then. And then we can actually see the amount of success rows that were pulled from our source. And then because we had that filter condition, and then we can see the number of rows that were put into our cloud data warehouse. So then if we go to Snowflake and then we run the same query we did before, we can see now we have data from 2014. Still pretty out of date, but at least it's a little better than it was before. So the next thing I want to do is do a cloud-to-cloud integration. And for that, we will be going to Salesforce. Oh, looks like I timed out. Let me log back in here. Load up this real quick. We'll be going to our accounts. So here we have a list of 9 different sales accounts we have. Well, what if we look at Tyco here, what if they changed from a prospect to an actual direct customer? So then we'll save that. So we have the update of our integration, and then we also want to add a new account. So we're going to add in Done Solutions Group. They are a technology partner, and they are a consulting company. So then we'll just save that. So now we have an insert and an update into our sales dim table, and now we have 10 sales accounts. So then we'll go back into Informatica, go back to the home page, and now since that's just like a simple kind of copy or lift and shift job, we could select new and then go to this tasks pane here, and then we could select a synchronization task in order to synchronize the source and target. I already have one of these tasks set up, and I can kind of show you each of the tabs on this. and how straightforward it is to use Informatica Cloud. So here I gave my task a name. I am doing an upsert, so I'm going to be updating the Tyco sales account and inserting that done solutions field. We select our source. Wait for this to load. Yep, we can see we have Salesforce. We can select any type of object. We of course selected the account object. We then would point it to our Snowflake target, put in any data filters we would like, and then we just got to go to the field mapping tab, and then here we could then drag and drop and make sure everything is mapped correctly. You can see everything's the same way, so it automatically mapped those fields for us. And so I don't have to manually do this every time. I could actually set up a schedule for this task to then run daily, or I believe in increments of 5 is the lowest it can go. So, but for now, we're just going to select finish. And then we're going to run this task. Again, view it here. And then this should be able to then upsert our data to insert the Done Solutions Group field and update the Tyco field in our Cloud Data Warehouse. You can see again, it's queued. We're not processing too many rows here, so it shouldn't take as long as before. We can see as previous runs, it should be about a minute. Yep, there we go, already good to go. Now we go back here, we can do a select star on our table. And we can see Done Solutions Group is now in there, and Tyco is also a customer direct. So now we've updated everything. So I just kind of showed you kind of a proof of concept of Informatica Cloud and migrating data from on-premise to a cloud data warehouse, as well as migrating data from between cloud and cloud. So if we go back to the presentation, well, now that you've seen the benefits of hybrid data warehouses over traditional on-premise warehouses and would like to begin making your journey to the cloud, now is the time to take action. If you feel your organization is ready to begin its move to the cloud but are unsure what it's going to take and what is required to get started, contact Done Solutions. We can work with you to discuss your business needs, define a pilot project, and move your business to the cloud so you can push your organization to new heights with velocity. And that's all I have for today's webinar. I'll answer any questions for the remainder of the time. All right, I got one question here. How does a cloud-based solution like Informatica Cloud Services perform ETL jobs on-prem? Great question. Informatica Cloud Services allows you to set up different runtime environments. One of them is using what is called an Informatica Cloud Secure Agent. If you saw during our demo, I kind of pointed out briefly the runtime environments section. There was 2 there. One of them was an Informatica Cloud hosted runtime environment. The other one was an Informatica Cloud Secure Agent. The Secure Agent is software that you download onto your server that allows your on-premise servers to communicate with Informatica Cloud Services. However, an important piece of information with this is that for on-premise to on-premise ETL jobs, using your Secure Agent as your runtime environment allows you to perform the ETL jobs without your data ever leaving your firewall. And on the opposite of that, if you were to forward with our Salesforce to Snowflake, because that's cloud to cloud, we can use that Informatica Cloud hosted runtime environment, and we can actually see increased performance because that's just a straight cloud to cloud integration. I hope that answers that question. Looks like we have time for one more question. What type of connection did you use to connect to a cloud-based tool like Salesforce? Informatica Intelligent Cloud Services partners with many organizations to provide hundreds of different connectors. That makes connecting to all different types of sources and targets pretty straightforward. And I kind of demonstrated that in our presentation. There was an option for just selecting Salesforce. And then if I were to select that Salesforce connector, then all I have to do then is provide a username and password and the security token that's generated by Salesforce whenever you log in or change your password. And then once you have filled out all that information, you're just good to go. And then you can start exporting and importing different Salesforce objects as you please. I believe that is all the time we have for today. I'd like to thank you all for attending my webinar, and please contact Done Solutions for moving to the cloud. We'll get you started. Thank you.